Well, as promised, excited to get back down to Peoria. And, of course, the show will be there the week of February 24th. Can't wait to feel the sunshine, especially with the snow that we got again last night. Let's get down to Peoria right now and talk to Mariners pitcher Emerson Hancock, kind enough to take a few minutes with us. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
How's the start of spring training for you? How's it been?
Start of spring has been great. It's always exciting getting back and being around the guys and just kind of getting back into the routine of things, and it's exciting right now.
Where were you through the offseason? Have you been in Arizona for the last few weeks? Do you make home there now? Are you back in Georgia? What does your offseason look like?
Yeah, we're back in Georgia, in South Georgia, and so that's where we'll be kind of like moving forward. And it's just such a great place to be able to kind of reset and take a break from the season, but also it's got all the resources you need to have the training and get ready for the season. So we were around there.
There's a couple different Georgias. Are you Atlanta, Georgia? Are you small town Georgia? Where in Georgia are you?
Yeah, I'm small town Georgia. So I grew up in Cairo. My wife's from Bainbridge. So we're way down there, really close to the Florida line. So that's kind of where we like to call home.
Okay, so what is growing up there like compared to living in Seattle and Tacoma the last year or two?
It's different. I think it's just kind of the communities. It's a lot smaller. It's really the kind of small town feel, and then Tacoma and Seattle a lot different, a lot more people, a lot more traffic for sure. But it's cool. It's a really cool adjustment.
I always think about that. I mean, we talk so much about, you guys as players and what happens on the field, but that adjustment off the field has to be, just as maybe not quite as intense as getting to the major leagues, but just experiencing so many different parts of life through college, through the minor leagues, up to Seattle. And it sounds like you and your wife have kind of been on that journey together. So I imagine that's got to be as interesting as any part of this for you.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think it starts like just kind of like as soon as everything happened back in 2020, going through all of that, and you go through your first couple minor league seasons, and each year it feels like you kind of learn a little bit more, and you're like, all right, I'm figuring out what I need and what I don't need, and I mean this is I think my third spring training so far, and it just kind of feels like, man, everything's a little bit easier. You get a little bit more comfortable, and you just kind of keep rolling from there.
So what is on tap for this spring? What are the goals? What did you take into this spring as something that you want to make sure you accomplish?
Yeah, nothing, I think, specific goals, but I think just the off season, it was, just kind of working on, developing like a lot more new pitches, kind of watching what the guys have been doing so far, and just kind of going home and just saying, all right, let's develop, new grips, new pitches. Let's kind of develop all of them, and then just kind of see where we're at. And the off season is such a good time to do it because, there's no games. You're most of the time you have a lot of just space and time to work on the things you need to. So I just kind of want to see where things are at, and continue to be healthy and continue to go out there and compete.
You know what? Shame on me, because I wrote this little column earlier in the week, and said, oh, here's some questions about this year's rotation and who's going to develop a new pitch, and my money's on Bryce Miller because he always does. And shame on me, I didn't even think that you would be that guy. So we got to hear about the new pitch. Last year, mostly fastball, sinker, slider, changeup. What's new? What should we be looking for?
Well, it's kind of the conversations we had at the beginning of the off season. They kind of wanted me to develop all of them. So it's like just start with, curveball, then go to sweeper, then go to cutter, then go to a different grip on the gyro. And, it was a lot of fun, to be honest, to just kind of just have that time and just kind of work through all these pitches. And like I was just kind of joking with Trent, it's like, my warm-up takes a lot longer because I got a lot more pitches to go through. So it's kind of adding a little bit all. I think the biggest thing would be the sweeper, the cutter, and I think the gyro's gotten a lot better. So it's just really, working on those and just seeing where they go.
So how do you define the gyro? Because I remember I was actually there when Daisuke came to Boston for the first time with the mythical gyro ball. I was one of the obnoxious people in the media who had to wait at Hanscom Air Force Base for his plane to touch down so that we could report that Daisuke had landed in America. Tell me what, and I don't know if he even threw the gyro ball, but that was the rumor. What is your gyro ball?
Yeah, I think it's kind of different for everyone. For me, it's just kind of like a spike grip, and the spike for me was really hard at the beginning, but now it's gotten where it's comfortable, and the spike actually kind of just helps it kind of get the movement like downward that you need. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where you just kind of just grip it with the spike and try to throw it as hard as you can, and hopefully it just kind of goes straight down.
Okay, so
I don't like to think too much.
Does it act like a splitter?
Think too much about it.
Does it act like a splitter?
It could, probably not as much kind of like arm side movement as a splitter.
Okay.
For me, I'm trying to just get it to go, it's just straight down. So the less you think about it, honestly, it's just like it's simple. Just kind of like grip it and rip it. Just throw it as hard as you can, and sometimes it'll move the way you want it to.
Talking to Emerson Hancock here, who did you work on that with? So you go back to Georgia. Who were you throwing to throughout the offseason?
A lot of the times, the facility I used, it would just kind of be like a net. And so, like, I would always just kind of set the net up. I would go through my throwing. And what I always like to do is something we had in college was we always would put a plate down in front, because our pitching coach, Sean Kinney, was always big on, like, just practice throwing strikes as much as possible. So I would throw the plate down. It would kind of give me better alignment of my pitches and a better feel for the strike zone. And I would just kind of work through all those pitches that way. And I would kind of check in and, talk with Trent and just say, hey, this is how things are going. Do you have any ideas? And we would just kind of go from there.
I actually was looking at your Baseball Savant page before doing the interview. This may be way too deep in the weeds, but according to them, your arm angle was higher last year than it was the year before. Was that on purpose, or is that just sort of a 2 degrees doesn't really mean much? It's just how it, ends up on their tracking system.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just is never really intentional, at least on my part it wasn't. A lot of that just kind of depends on where your body is. Your body can be in certain positions, and maybe it just feels more comfortable being there, and there was nothing intentional about it. It's just sometimes it's just kind of how it is.
So I think about you in this rotation, and, I think you're a major league pitcher, and you've got 5 guys in this rotation who are also clearly major league pitchers, all 5 of whom are coming off ridiculous years. Do you come to the organization and say, hey, I'm willing to pitch in the bullpen if it gets me to the big leagues? How do you approach just having 5 guys in front of you that are all incredible right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, embrace whatever role you're given, and just at the end of the day, I want to win. I want to help us win. I want to help our organization any way that I can. Being a part of this group is a lot of fun. It is special, especially for me. I came through the system with all these guys. We spent a ton of time together, and, having everyone kind of as a group is so much fun. And I can't really state it any better than that. It's such a good group. But, yeah, just whatever role I'm given, embrace it. I have a lot that I need to work on and I need to get better at. And, hopefully kind of these new things we've worked on in the off season can kind of help me.
Could you be a reliever? Would you be an effective single inning max effort reliever?
I think I could definitely adjust to it. Now, I think I am a starter. I love starting. It's what I've always done. But I definitely think if it was one of those things where, we needed to do it or we needed to make that change, I definitely think I could adjust to it.
Yeah, it's got to be a weird spot, right? You come back now, you're 26 years old. This is kind of, prime time.
25.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa.
Oh, come on now.
Whoa, I'm sorry. Only 25.
those numbers matter a lot.
They do. Oh, my God. That's
number 8 is a big difference.
When do you turn 26?
May
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So early, in the season.
You're
least.
right.
All
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is prime time, right? This is sort of your prime time. And you got to imagine and think of yourself as a big leaguer, right?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. But I also think that, I have kind of a long-term view of things as well. I want to do everything possible to play this game for as long as I can. And, I don't really look at a certain window and say, man, I got to maximize here, because I think just as kind of everything has gone for me, it's just like as time goes on, I feel like I mature. I feel like I get better. I feel like I understand the game more. And like you're just always figuring these things out. So Yeah, it's nice to be young. It's nice to feel good, but I also believe that like I can do this like at a later age as well. So I thought there's a balance there.
I'll tell you what, just getting to talk to you here for the first time and having had, just limited conversations with the other guys in this rotation, I can see how you fit in perfectly. I mean, it would just make perfect sense. Do you feel that, I mean, you mentioned it a little bit, but how tight is that bond with the other 5 guys in the rotation?
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome. I know it's really special. Just each guy. I mean, just the person that they are. We're not even talking about the pitcher. We're not even talking about how hard each one of them works. It's just you understand the person. You understand how much they care, how much they want to win, and ultimately how much they want to try to get better. And they're always trying to adapt, and we're always trying new things. It's really cool. It's so much fun to for me, it's like I always just love watching the guys throw, so I'm always around the bullpens. And, anytime I get a chance to watch any of our guys get up on the mound and throw and see what kind of pitches they have, it's really cool. I mean, it's a tight group. I can't, say it any better than that, and it's a special group that I'm glad to be a part of it.
Which of the 5 makes you laugh the most?
Bryce.
Really?
Not even close. Yeah, he is awesome to be around.
Which of the 5 do you laugh at the most?
Logan.
Yeah, I figured that was coming. That was really just a setup to make fun of Logan. So, hey,
yeah,
this has been fun, man. We really appreciate it. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. We'll be down there in a couple weeks. We'll look forward to saying hi in person. Good luck, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. See you soon.